Hello and welcome, Exile, to another League Start preparation, this time with Stormburst Hierophant. This character and all the characters I've tested, there's a couple I haven't made videos on. I did an Exsanguinate Mind test, I did a Blade Trap test, I've done a few different tests, and they're all with one thing in mind. I want to rush Sanctum as fast as possible, and as far as I'm concerned, that means I need one thing, and that's good damage, and just enough HP, just enough to not get PK'd in one shot while in the Sanctum. Now, that being said, believe it or not, that is a bit harder than you might think, or at least from my testing, it's pretty hard to do, because the Quest Sanctum, even though it's level 68 in terms of a zone level, doing it successfully without losing the run is actually quite hard unless you have fairly good damage for the level. Now, I did this character's run through in, now it says slash played 5 hours 50 minutes. It was actually 5 hours and 10 minutes with a decent amount of AFK time, talking to chat during the stream, looking at the new div card release, and quite frankly, re-recording this video because I forgot to turn on my microphone. That's only happened a few times. Definitely not going to keep making that mistake. Anyways, so I prepped myself a level 70 Forbidden Tome to showcase you guys, to give you a look at what this character looks like going into Sanctum. My whole League Start plan is to go for Sanctum and then steamroll that into more currency, into more higher level Sanctums, into more currency, into better gear, and then eventually, once my character's OP, I'm going to go crush the Atlas. Normally when I do League Starts, I go into the Atlas, I bum rush to T16s, and then I get full tilted when I'm doing 8 mod rare maps because I need to val the maps in order to run the map to get the completion, and you run a lot of damage maps with your low level under-geared character, feels bad, gets tilting. Maybe if we do Sanctum, we can have a lot of fun, get an OP character, and then go crush the Atlas. That's kind of my mentality. I know a lot of people are predicting nerfs. I honestly don't think they're going to nerf Sanctum. I think they're going to re-add Sentinel with Recombinators and Ultimatum and nerf nothing. I'm not coping at all. All right, anyways, Forbidden Tome. That's the goal. What is our character? It's Stormburst Totems. The idea here was simply just rush as much damage as possible. And on a low-level character where you don't have a lot of things to work with, crit can be good depending on your build. Like with the Spellblade character, it worked in pretty synergistically because of how much crit Inquisitor gets for free. But for something like a Hierophant, I decided to go with Elemental Overload and force in things like cast speed and percent damage as much as possible. You'll see we have, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4 clusters that have cast speed on them, along with a decent amount of damage from the spiritual aid nodes, these nodes, early nodes here, and the nodes over here and whatnot. So that was the idea. Stormburst Totem also gets a decent amount of damage from scaling some duration because of how the skill works. You get a hit every 0.4 seconds and has a base duration of 1.2. And if you extend that duration, you get additional hits from Stormburst. It's kind of a cool mechanic and definitely a pretty good damage scaling build or skill. Along with that, you'll notice here we have Singularity, Khaleesi's, Ghostwraith, Crown of Thorns, Lori's, Redbeak. I want to preface this with, originally when I got to level 65, I completed the campaign and I entered the Sanctum. I did not have Singularity. I did not have Khaleesi's. The full 4-link trash gear. I didn't have Rainbow Stride either. These are orange gear pieces to just get us over the hump of our initial, basically make the character just good enough to do some content sort of idea. And initially, we just had Lori's, Ghostwraith, Crown, and Redbeak, all of which are very low level, very common items that are getting dropped in droves on a League Start when thousands of people start, and there's way more supply than there is demand. I would be dumbfounded if these items showed up on League Start and were anything more than a chaos. I could maybe see Ghostwraith spiking to 2 or 3 chaos, but Crown of Thorns, Lori's, Redbeak, those will all be 1C uniques or lower, and I don't see that changing. The only way that would happen is if GGG decided to make them way more rare, which I don't see happening at all, considering they are, in the grand scheme of things, very weak items. They are strong on a League Start and initial gearing for the price, but ultimately they are quite weak, quite common, and I don't think the rarity is going to change. So the plan was essentially I was doing a full SSF run, and then as I got the Chaos Orbs throughout the run, I would go and buy these items, essentially trying to simulate a trade League Start, and that was my idea. And once I went through the first floor of Sanctum, I got enough Chaos Orbs to buy myself a Singularity, which I estimated will be like 5C on League Start. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I estimated. It was slightly better than the random rare I had found while leveling, which was decent, but it was better nonetheless, along with Khaleesi's Grace, which I estimated to be about 1C, and then you have to spend the Jewelers, Chromes, and Fusings to link, so I had to make sure I had the supplies for that to set up a nice little pseudo 5 link with the faster casting that this pair of gloves comes with. All right, anyways, that is the idea of the character. I went through, did the first floor of Sanctum, got some chaos, bought myself a couple of the better items, but largely, this is the character we did a full Sanctum run with. You'll see we got 4 Divines. That was very lucky. Not going to happen on Leaguestarter, but you can still expect to get a decent amount of Val Orbs, Chaos Orbs, Regrets, Scours, Chance Orbs, Baubles. Stuff like that is decently valuable on Leaguestarter and can snowball you better and better gear. Now, let's give you guys a little showcase of what this looks like. I'm not going to do any sort of relics, even though I have some I found. I'm not trying to make the run easier. I just want to give you guys a look at what this character can do in Sanctum and what I like about it. Mainly, this character has decent damage, and then on top of that decent damage, it has the ability to stay mobile. One of the important things about Sanctum is not getting hit. You can do this by either A, killing the enemies instantly, B, freezing the enemies instantly, or having decent damage, but also being pretty mobile, and ours is decent damage, pretty mobile, and that's the idea we're going with. I also, you'll see like on this fight, when we get to this guy, we can run around and we can just not get hit. Also with totems, and I had to do this on my run because I got a little bit unlucky on the, what's it called? My afflictions and boons were very bad. I didn't get a single really good boon, and I got a lot of bad afflictions. I had to play very campy when I got to, what was it called? When I got to... Took a little bit more damage than we should have there. If I was paying more attention trying to dodge, we probably could have done that without taking damage. But when I got to the floor for number 4, we had Mark of Terror and some other stuff that made us take more damage. We had Cannot Have Resolve Vegas, which for us, Resolve Vegas is pretty important. 18 Resolve Vegas is quite helpful when doing a run. Basically, with totems and other builds like totems, like minions, like SRS, you can do this sort of thing where you put your totems over here, they're shooting enemies around the wall, and you can just hide and remain safe. And that's how I clutched up the run to get 4 Divines. When another character, if the run was going worse, I would have just thrown the run, and this kind of clutched it up. So anyways, this gives you a good idea of what it looks like in Sanctum. Granted, as you go throughout the Sanctum run, you'll get, I'll show you what Chaos rewards look like. This will be 3 or I think 6 Chaos. Essentially, if you think you're going to finish the run or win the run, you go for the 6 Chaos reward. But if you're on the League start, what I would do is I would just get the 3 Chaos and use that to get yourself some upgrades to maybe ensure by the time you get to floor 2, floor 3, you're doing better during the run and you're taking more W's to get better, I guess, like snowball effect, so to speak. That allows you to win. Now, that was unlucky. That guy was prepping his little, I don't know what that attack's called, but he does like a fluker strike dash attack to it. But anyways, Chaos Orbs are very common early game, and if they nerf it, well, I'll let you know on day 1 of my video when I say, hey, I did Sanctum, it didn't work out, but I don't think they will. We'll see. Anyways, Chaos Orbs number 3, 3 Chaos here versus 6 Chaos here. I think on early game, you take the early Chaos all day long, and you use that to buy yourself things like a Singularity, get your initial gearing going, and then snowball that advantage in the later floors and make more currency to then upgrade your character even further. I don't know if I'm making sense. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of what this character was. I leveled essentially as Magma Orb up until my normal lab, and then once I got this node right here, Pursuit of Faith, +1 totem, I grabbed Ancestral Bond and I switched into Stormburst totem, which worked pretty well. Funny thing, I didn't know, originally during this run, I was planning on doing Purifying Flame, and I found out why channeling-based skills for totems are really nice, and regular self-cast, normal spells are not as nice. And the reason is the mana cost for your totem summoning is based on that small mana cost of this channeling skill of Stormburst, which is 5. Whereas if I did Purifying Flame, which is what I had earlier, instead of 5 base mana cost, it starts out at 22, which would end up being 76 mana versus, if you have Stormburst on, versus 17. And it's the difference in having a huge mana problem and not having really a mana problem at all, which is interesting. A lot of these channel skills are quite good with totems because totem AI and aiming and stuff works out well. But then on top of that, you also get the advantage of the small mana cost. And it was a learning lesson for me for realizing why channeling skills are also very good on Leaguestarter for totems, because it solves one of the big issues you might have early on, which is mana. Anyways, say all that to say this. I think this character is pretty solid. It definitely can do totem or do Sanctum with the really early ones. And I have some ideas to min-max the gear a little bit more. Tomorrow on stream, I'll probably be testing out some different variations and trying out a few more builds at this level 70 range on early game Sanctum to see if I can find some other stuff that will work. And we'll also be streaming, of course, the reveal of the Affliction League and the new PoE2 news and whatnot. I'm pretty excited. Well, I'll try to keep making some posted videos on my Leaguestar plans as I develop them, as I practice for them, and as patch notes come out. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. As always, thanks for watching. Take care, and peace out.